Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tim and Sofia Build Digital Products, or something like that, whatever the name of this show is. Today I want to talk about growth. So, when entrepreneurs pitch to potential investors, they always want to try to show that their growth is going to have some kind of like a hockey stick curve. They're just gonna, we're starting out small, but it's gonna just like skyrocket into forever, and we're just gonna like make tons of money. Well, let's look at the rest of the story. So, there is this thing called the serviceable obtainable market, and I'm not didn't go to business school, so I'm not the right person to explain to you all the ins and outs of what a serviceable obtainable market is. But my understanding of it is that it's the total size of the market that your company is positioned to reach, or could serve. So in the case of the company that I'm working for, Trends, you could think about the total serviceable or the serviceable obtainable market for in terms of the number of users that we might expect to see on our platform using our service at some point. I've used some, there have been some publications around the number of Facebook groups out there that are dedicated to rare diseases. We know there are about 10,000 rare diseases. So doing a little math and some extrapolation, our best estimate is that there are probably somewhere around 14,000, a bit over 14,000 groups that are dedicated to rare disease on Facebook, and that are English speaking, because right now that's the market we can reach, because that's what our natural language processing can do at the moment. So that's our serviceable market. So groups that aren't primarily English would not be in our serviceable market right now. That could change as our technology develops further. So why am I talking about this total serviceable market? Because the hockey stick of growth doesn't just go off into infinity. Instead, it looks something like this, typically. So you've got that hockey stick phase where you have exponential growth. But then as you get closer and closer to your serviceable obtainable market, that total number of, in this case, it'd be total number of Facebook groups that advocate or support rare diseases or underserved diseases, we're going to plateau somewhere in the range of 14,000 at best. So our growth curve is actually a logistic curve, not an exponential curve. I mean, there's a part that looks like an exponential function, but then it's going to level off at some point. So it's a logistic curve that we're looking at. So this is important to try to understand. How are you doing? What kind of growth should you be shooting for? And here I've just taken a look at how many groups does that actually mean at the end of each year, from 2024 out for, I'm trying to do 5 years worth of projections here. Because what we would like is to basically corner the market within 5 years. So if we want to do it within 5 years, what does this curve have to look like, right? So I've got us up at like 90% of the serviceable addressable market by 9 years out. This is a goal. Now we can look at what would that look like if we plot our actual data on here. And this is these are just numbers that I'm making up, but you could imagine that over time, you'll have real data that you can plot, and you can fit a logistic curve to your data and see how is that growth looking? I mean, do you look like you're on track to meet your goal of 90% of the serviceable obtainable market within 5 years? There's this equation, this logistic equation has a growth rate, and that's where I'm really looking. I recognize that in the early days, the absolute number of new users that may be signing on to our service may be a small number in any given quarter, but I want to know, is our growth rate putting us on track to be close to this blue line, this goal of what we'd want? So that's what I'm looking for. Fit it to a logistic curve, look at the growth rate, and let's just play around with these numbers a little bit. So let's say in this scenario we have a situation where by the end of 2024, end of 2023, beginning of 2024, so we're saying January 1st of 2024, we have 200 users now. How is that good? Is that bad? Well, we can see, looking at the growth rate, our actual growth rate is now higher than our desired, than like the goal growth rate. And if we continue on that track, we will actually reach our goal early, of cornering this market early. Let's push that back now. Let's say we don't get to 200 users until, let's say, the end of the year. So we'll make that December of 2024, and let's rerun that. So what does that look like? So now by the end of the year, we hit that number of 200. So our growth rate is lower than what our goal is, and it's putting us on track to hit that goal of cornering the market way later. So takeaways. Your growth is probably going to follow a logistic curve, and you can Google that if you need to know what the actual formula is for a logistic curve. The factors that you need to take into consideration are: what's the serviceable obtainable market? What's the total number of users, or whatever your metric is that you want to obtain, or that your company would be positioned to obtain. That's going to determine where does that curve level off. Next, you want to know, how soon do I want to get there to corner the market, and that will tell you what growth rate you're going to need in order to go from where you are now to reach your goal. That growth rate will define a curve. Once you have the growth rate, your starting number of users and your goal number of users, and you know how far out you want to, like how soon you want to reach that goal number of users, now you can define that curve. And then you can use that curve and the growth rate, the calculated growth rate of your own data, to see how well are you doing compared to your goal. Are you on track? Are you not on track? Are you beating your goal for growth? And I would focus more on the rate of growth than your absolute numbers in terms of how many you're adding per year. Because if you're in that early days, you're not going to be adding a lot. But as long as you're adding them quickly enough that you're establishing a strong growth rate that's at least as good as your target growth rate, then you're doing great. So that's how I'm thinking about growth. So Soph. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Let's say goodbye. Come on. Good girl. I watched some. Come here, Soph. I looked at some stats for these videos, and the video that just has Sophie and I'm not even talking, it's doing way better than the others. So I know you guys are here for Sophie. Come here. Come on. And that's okay, because I am too. All right. See you guys next time.